I will steal away. You hear me? I will not go around anybody that's negative. I will steal away and go do my own thing. I go to the store, meet people, start talking and stuff. And that usually helps me to stay out of that type of feeling. But if I'm around someone that's constantly gossiping or being negative, then it will come on and it's hard to get out of. Once you get in there, it's hard to get out of it. So don't let nobody lie to you. But I want to give you a great example this morning in the Bible is talking about the man at the pool of Bethesda, Bethesda pool. And I can't pronounce that, y'all. Give me a second, y'all. Let me answer this inbox. Okay, so talking about the man at the well, at the pool, the angels would come down and stir up the pool, and, people had to get in the pool. This is where all the lanes was at. This was out where all the sick and all that was at. But the angel would come down and stir up the pools, make the waters troubled, and they'd have to get into the water in order to be healed. Well, there was a certain man that was there, and this man had been laying beside this pool, the gate for like 38 years. This man suffered. He endured something. And what ended up happening, he finally was told, Jesus finally told him, just take up your mat. Do you believe you healed? Well, then take up your mat and walk. Get on up. Let me tell you something. What I got out of that. It takes the right person to come in your life and tell you that. To snap you out of that season that you have been lingering in. And that man lay there 38 years thinking he was sick, thinking he couldn't walk, thinking he wasn't well. And that's how it is with mental health. Although there may be nothing going on really, but when a person is going through mental health, they think something is going on. They think it is going on. And in order to help them, they may go years and years before they finally get it through their mind and realize, hey, I've survived. Nothing happened to me. I'm still here. I'm living. Nothing happened to me. I am good enough. I am well enough. I can do this. But it takes the right person to come into their life and encourage them back to life. If Jesus hadn't told him to take up his mat and walk, he'd still be laying there. He would have still been laying there. And that's how it goes with those of us that are going through whatever difficult challenges that we're going through with mental health. It's like it's going to take that right person to come into your life to encourage you back to life. And that's why I'm saying we shouldn't be so quick to judge a person that's going through mental illnesses, any type, whether it's the smaller, the lesser amounts or the greater amounts. We shouldn't put people down because we don't know what they went through. Even the evil people that's out here in this world, we don't know what they went through that caused them to be like that. But we do know that mental health, when we see about it, it corrects our behavior. It helps us to correct. And that's what going to therapy is all about. Correcting the behavior that you adapted over the years. The teacher in me is out this morning. But that's all right, okay? That's all right. Sorry, y'all. The teacher in me is out. But I'm just trying to get people to understand that that man lay beside that pool 38 years. And that was all he knew. When you have been raised in an environment and that's all you know, but in you're raised in an environment and they're teaching you one thing, but they're acting another way. Cognitive dissonance. I can't say it enough. And it makes you feel crazy. It makes you feel like, well, mama, you just taught me to say thank you. But here you is, you cussing a man out, that's the type of thing that I'm talking about. That's emotional trauma on a child. Growing up, trying the brain telling you to do one thing and then another side of your brain telling you to do another thing. So mental health just gets you back in touch with reality, gets you back in touch with the things of life and correction. It corrects your behavior. And it's through work that you have to do. Just as that man had to get his butt up off of that whatever that ground he was laying on, just as he had to get his butt up, you got to get up and work too. It's all about working. It never stops. It's a day-to-day battle for everybody. You have to get up and have that mindset, already positioned. If it come hell or hot water, I'm still going to be happy. If it come hell or high water, I'm still going to get up and go do my job. I'm not going to let nobody stress me out today. Today is my happy day. I'm going to shut them down the moment they start gossiping. The moment I hear a lie, I'm not going to be involved in that. It's steps, it's process. It's learning how to reframe your thoughts. And that's one thing I learned was that I grew up negative with a lot of negative thoughts. Oh, I'm teaching this, by the way, in Kiva class tonight. I grew up with a lot of negative thoughts. I mean, really. And it took my daughter to tell me. It took my daughter to actually tell me that, Mama, you being negative. And she was a young girl. Because at that time she was in, for whatever reason, I guess the way I was raising her, and I guess I had said some ugly things to them. And she was in this counseling thing, which I thank God for those women that helped my daughter. And she was learning behavior because my daughter had a speech impairment. And so she was learning behavior, and, her self-esteem was kind of down low, even as a little child. She was like about 5 or 6 years old. And by the time she was about 10 years old, she had then learned the correct way to say words. She had then learned the correct way to act and love herself. And she finally spoke up to me one day, and she said, Mom, you being negative. You displace your anger. She learned this stuff. And I never forgot those words she told me to this day. And that helped me to start being more positive towards life. Now, even though I was more positive towards life, it didn't stop the things that were going on. It doesn't stop what you got to go through. You're going to have to go through some things in this life. Difficult challenges are going to come. I got to see what... Y'all, I have some people here. I don't even know why they're here. But I'm going to see. What's the date? Okay. Difficult challenges are going to come. I'm not going to start talking unless they come up to me. I think they could cut the trees over these power lines. But difficult challenges are going to come, and you got to get with the right people. And that ain't necessarily always church folk. I'm telling you, get outside of the church. Go get some help. And get this behavior problem corrected. As you heard me say, I don't want to be out here in these streets playing with no man's heart anymore, because I've learned the way of love, and that's not the way I was doing it before. I don't want to be the one who's quick to anger, because that's not the way. All that's going to do is cause you not to listen, and your heart is going to be still torn, and it's going to put more agony and pain on you. I've learned correction in so many ways that I should have learned these things when I was younger, but I didn't have nobody teaching it to me. Basically, you know how we have these households with so many kids and they raise each other up, and what we may have learned back then, it wasn't necessarily correct. And so that's what mental health does. It brings you to a normal functioning behavior, so that you can perform well in society, so that you can perform well at home. When you all alone and by yourself, you need this. You need that guidance to help you get back on track. With financial issues, listen, you filed bankruptcy because you didn't know how to spend your money. Guess what happened to me? I filed bankruptcy because I was spending so much money that I didn't have and couldn't afford to pay it back. But when I went to bankruptcy court, they have you take a class, and I learned how to spend my money. I learned how to budget my money. And I haven't overspent ever since, because I had to be corrected in that. So just as the Bible does, God will send people to help us be corrected. That's what he does. He's a God of correction. So don't never be ashamed about where you're at or what you lack mentally. There's always someone out there that can help you. And that's why I made this here for those of them who are not suffering from mental health, so that you can have a greater understanding of what it's like to be living a negative life. And you're looking at everybody else's life and it looks good, although it may not be. But yet and still, you see people that's getting out doing stuff, but you can't get out and do stuff because you've been hurt, because you're afraid, because you're angry, because you're disgusted, because you're mad. And so when you go get your help and you have other people who believe in you, that helps so much. I think if I could have just heard so many times, if I could have heard somebody just say, you know what, girl, you are fine just the way you are, instead of hearing, oh, your arms are so big, or your thighs, your thighs is twice mine. You know, I got told those kind of things growing up. And as I grew up, it was in my head, my thighs are too big. And now the way I see it, my thighs may be too big for you, but they're just right for me. This is what God has given me to work with, and it's still my body, and I'm going to love them regardless what size they get, how small they get, or how big they get. They're still mine. So we have to learn how to encourage those that are going through mental health instead of putting them down. And I'm going to get ready and go off in here. I think I'm getting hungry. Did I have breakfast? No, I didn't have breakfast yet. But just know that you don't ever tell a person to just get over it too, because they're not. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse for the simple fact you just telling somebody to get over it is like pushing a person in the face and saying, man, get out my face. That's what it's like. That's what it's like. That's basically saying, I don't want to hear what you got to say. I got something more important to do. So, y'all just be careful how you talk to people. If you don't understand what they're going through, then don't say nothing at all. Just listen. I don't want to see people dying out here to suicide because somebody failed to take the time to listen, or somebody failed to have understanding and compassion in their heart. We gonna go through these things, but we're not gonna stay in them. Those that seek help will get help. Those that ask God, He will deliver. Even those that don't ask God, He's a God of grace. He's still working it out on your behalf while you out there thinking evil thoughts. What in the world that man do? He done drove way down there and turn around. So wonder if he didn't get stuck. But God is a God of grace and mercy, and it's that grace that has kept us this far. It's that grace that kept me when my mind was, worse than where I'm at now. I've come a long way. I don't care what nobody say. That's why I'm boasting on my Lord. I am telling you, God has truly delivered me from some of the things that I went through. Some of the horrific things. I mean, most people, molestation and rapes like that, they couldn't even talk about it. But I thank God I could talk about it. And one day I'm going to go into the details of how it really feels to be raped. How it really feels when somebody violates you in that type of way. I'm going to go into those details so that we as people can have more understanding, even on to sexual assault victims, because that was very disgusting, and I didn't get over it. I shut down. Remember, I didn't open back up to that till I was grown. I didn't open back up. It happened. I never talked about it again. Left it alone. Went years and years, and I was an adult, almost near 35 or something, before I would even talk about it. If anybody tried to bring it up that knew about it, like my sisters, oh no, they got shut down quick. All right, y'all. So let me get on up and get my day popping, because I got a lot to do for this weekend. I got a very romantic weekend that has been planned by a romantic man, and hopefully we're going to have a great time, y'all. It's just a date. Just a date. Finally, somebody who has a plan in their mind. All right. I'll tell y'all more about it later on, though.